It's St. Louis.
Welcome to the A-Train Show. And now here's your host, the A-Train, Arlington Lane.
Yeah, true chatter. Yeah, I think it's time for more true chatter. Yeah.
Welcome to this edition of the A-Train Show. Welcome to the A-Train Show, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait. Oh, my goodness. I am excited. I am geeked. Today is the day, folks. I got my Fuel Autism Speak shirt on right now. I hope that those that have been getting an opportunity to go out and get your shirts for Autism Speaks. You're doing it for a good cause here at the Fuel Sports Network. Coming up on the program, I know I was able to do it earlier. If you haven't noticed, my special guest coming on today is going to be Rene Knott of KSDK Channel 5 on your side. I'm going to get him on in just a little bit, but before I do that, I got to touch on a little bit of the latest news. All right. Touch on a little bit on some of the things that are happening in the sports world right now. I like to do things a little bit different. Of course, I've talked about this guy already, Anthony Edwards, the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? They are ahead 2-0 in their series against the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they got a great game coming up tonight against the Nuggets, and they have a chance to go up 3-0, and I hope they do so. They need to go up 3-0. They don't need to waste any time whatsoever. They don't need to play around. Just go ahead and knock them off so you have a greater chance of knocking off the defending champs, because right now the defending champs look rattled. And the fact that Rudy Gobert did not play in game 2, and they're getting a chance to see if they can knock them off again. So big ups for that. And then, it's something special about this series. Also, shout out to all of those that have made the cover of the EA Sports college football game. I saw Travis Hunter on there. I see Jaden Milroe, Quentin Ewers, and there are several others. This is the first time the game will be featured with the name, image, and likeness for these different players. So be interesting to see how that happens as we get closer towards not only the college football season, but the time, if you're a gamer, get in this game right here, the EA Sports college football. I didn't want to waste too much time. So what I'm going to do is when I come back after the break, I'll have Rene Knott from Channel 5, KSDK in St. Louis. All right, so stay tuned. We'll be right back in just 90 seconds. This is the A-Train Show right here on Fuel Sports Network. Back on this edition of the A Train Show, the A Train Arlington Lane. Joining me on the program is a gentleman that, if you haven't known in the St. Louis market, I've known in the St. Louis market for the last 20 years on your television screens, and he's been kind enough to join me here today on the A Train Show. I'm glad to have him, and this guy, he's done it all. He's in sports and he does the morning news for 5 on Your Side. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Mr. Rene Knott. Rene.
Well, thank you for having me on. This is a pleasure.
Sir. Hey, are you at your favorite spot right now as we're doing this show?
Okay, so I go to work at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's when I arrive. So this is the end of the day, lunch hour, weekend has begun. So I'm over here at Jay McGrath's and Clayton, just chilling and waiting to get on with you today. That's about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, Rene Knott from 5 on Your Side, and from what I've seen, you are one of the classiest news guys in the business, and
thank you.
And I appreciate it. Yeah, let me touch a little bit on your career of sorts. I don't want to go too deep, but I'm not going to do it.
It's deep.
It's
been a long time.
I don't want to go too deep. I want to go from the last 12 years before you started at Channel 5 to now that you've been in now for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I saw something really interesting. You worked as a sports reporter for 12 years before you arrived at Channel 5. Then you've worked 12 years in the sports department in Channel 5.
Yeah.
Is this where we get another 12 for morning news?
Well, so I turned 60 last week. So keep that in mind.
Yes.
And at some point, retirement's going to be knocking on my front door. But I actually started in television in 1987 at KDRV TV in Medford, Oregon. And then I went to Mobile, Alabama. Then I was in D.C. So I was in D.C. for 12 and a half years prior to coming to St. Louis. And all I did was sports. I played football in college, played football in high school. So it was sort of a natural thing to do. And then after I had the major lung surgery in 2016, that's when I decided, okay, I can't keep up with doing that with all these young people, and made the jump to the morning news. And it's really been crazy good. Really crazy good, because you get to be, having the format of being more of yourself as far as having more time, and then getting to go out and do people stories. I've just loved it.
And that's what's amazing to me, is that you made the transition in 16 over to morning news, and like you said, you have to be at the station at 1 o'clock, so that means sleep comes very early for you.
Okay, so people ask me all the time, so what time you get up, what time you go to work? So I wake up at midnight. Monday, I guess it's Monday morning through Friday morning, and I go to bed generally between 4:30 and 5:30. You want to get your sleep, and especially when you're older like me, everything counts. The last thing you want to do is be walking around tired and old. So I go to bed early, but the thing that was wild about it is when I started doing this particular hours, it was easy for me to make the jump because I had to get up. So I just set the clock, got up, and it's been that way ever since. And people say, well, how can you get up like that so quickly? I go, I got bills. And so when you got to pay some bills, you got to get up and get there on time. I can't have somebody knocking on my door asking for some money. So that's how it worked for me.
Oh my goodness. Rene Knott is kind enough to join me here on the A Train Show right here on Fuel Sports Network. Somebody's talking to you right now. Take it. You know how you look up? It's like, oh, you talking to me?
No, well, there's other people getting orders right now. So I'm just in the background over here.
All right. So you touch a bit about the morning news stuff and your team that you're working with. Is this probably one of the most diverse groups?
Oh yeah,
that you've worked around?
Oh yeah, by far. And I would say in St. Louis. Now, when I worked in Washington D.C., it was very diverse because D.C. is such an international city. But I think that our news team in the morning truly encompasses St. Louis as far as the people you see and the people you will meet and run into, because we've got different faces and different cultures. and it's a blend. And the thing that I like about it is we could talk about so many things and educate each other on what it's like to be. So with Michelle Lee, I could talk to her about what is it like to be an Asian American. How tough is it, especially after what happened with COVID and all that, and where people are trying to point the finger of blame. And Paul Cook comes in, and Paul is a laugh riot. I mean, the guy is incredibly funny, but he understands more what it's like to be in the room with two black men and talk about the things that we deal with, not necessarily personally on a day in and day out basis, but what we see and what we represent and what we're trying to better. You can't help but when you do what you do, bring yourself into it. And I'm not saying to your views and all that, but I am a black man. People see me as a black man.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that when we do stories, we try to be as even-handed as possible and make sure that we're telling the whole story, not just a part of the story. And what happens so often when it comes to some of the controversial stuff is that the whole story isn't always told. We leave it at whatever, and then we move on to something else. Or we go, hey, there's other things in this neighborhood. There's families grieving. There's people doing great things. There's a lot of stuff happening here that we need to focus on as well, not just the bad stuff that happens, say, here in St. Louis, what appears to be the north side of town all the time.
Gotcha. So when you're going in and you're getting prepared for a telecast, what's the first thing that you do when you get in getting prepared?
First thing I do is spray down my desk with Lysol. that has been a daily occurrence ever since 2020.
Wow.
And wipe it down. But no, the first thing I do, I look through our rundown, and so our show is formatted. I do 2.5 hours. So the first half hour is formatted, then each half hour is formatted. I look through the stories, what stories I'm going to be reading and telling, and then I look at it as how would I tell this story? What is the best way that I feel I can relate this information to, say, my mom, if I had to tell my mom this story? And how would I break it down for her so I'm not, one, being too detailed, or two, not being detailed enough? And then I look through it, start writing, do some researching, just if I need to add something more to it, and learn. I spend probably the first couple of hours just learning about what's happening. And then we go out and, put some makeup, change clothes, put makeup on, and do what I do. do what I try to do. But, the thing about this job that you have to keep in mind is you're a part of the community. Right. And so you have to relate as a member of the community, not as somebody over the top, just kind of giving this observation, but someone who's down in the trenches saying, hey, I know what it's like. Today we had a police shooting on Market Street.
My old neighborhood.
Yeah, right over by Soldiers Memorial and Enterprise Center, and right there, the heart of the city. And I'm thinking, this is 3 blocks, less than 3 blocks, more like 2.5 blocks from the station. I'm sitting here, 7:30 this morning. This happens, and I'm going, how many people were walking up and down that street? How many people were getting ready to park their cars or whatever? Gosh, this hits home. And so you need to relate to the fact that this hits home. I could have been out there. Anybody could have been out there. This wasn't in a neighborhood. This was in an open area. And a person was just firing a gun. And the police officer had to take him down because, you got one, the guy started firing the police officer, but 2, bullets don't have names on them.
They don't.
They go wherever. And so when you see stuff like that, you have to stop and go, wait a minute, I'm a part of this. So when you relate these stories about our city back to the public, you need to understand that you're a part of it too. You just can't play it off like it's somewhere else. No, it's right here where we live.
Exactly. And it's like when you're reporting, we mentioned about the diverse group, you mentioned about reporting and stuff, and having a potential story like right after you get off the air and stuff like that. And you have to react of sorts. So as a journalist, what does that kind of mean for you, as in like reacting to stuff that happens either before you get on the air, after you get on the air, or while you're currently on the air?
Yeah. a lot of it's about knowing the facts, and not a lot of it. All of it is about knowing the facts. All of it's about telling the truth. All of it is about anytime there's death, you got to realize that there's a family that just lost somebody. There's a community that just lost somebody. There's someone who is going to hopefully be locked up because of this happened or whatever, be prosecuted because of it. So you can't just sit there and my whole emotions. I tell the story in my voice, so to speak, but it's always the truth. It's always, this is what we know. And it's important to tell people, this is what we know. It's also important to tell people, this is what we don't know. We know that somebody was shot and killed, but we don't know who did it. We're asking the police. We're calling the police. We're trying to find out what's going on. We know there's an active investigation, but we don't sit there and try to summarize it or put our own spin on it. We just, hey, this is what we know. But while we say that, we got to say it because, man, this is my city.
Right.
So let me tell you what's happening in my city and where this is and how many times this has happened. And then we might go to a story about, here's someone saying, here's the solution. Here's how we can get this to stop. And so it's what's the best way to put it? It's a strange pendulum to swing on because you have to do everything. You can't stop up here or go down there. You've got to swing back and forth and give the entire story, because if you don't, someone will call you out on it. Thus, your credibility is cramped and hurt and maybe permanently damaged. So you must make sure you do your homework. You must make sure you do your research and your calls and be transparent. If you don't know, you don't know, but tell people you don't know.
That's good stuff right there for especially for up-and-coming journalists. These days they just will say anything. They'll put it out there and they'll make it seem like it's fact. But if you don't do your research on it, if you don't do any background, then you're basically giving the term fake news. So,
well, here's the thing. It's not about being first. It's about being right. And you could be second and all that. But if you know you got all the facts, you got it right, you can hold your head up high and leave the day going, I did my job. But if you get one thing wrong because you rush to judgment or you rush to get it on the air, that could be the end of it.
Exactly.
One wrong story could be the end of a career. And there's many careers, people at higher levels, look at Brian Williams, that because they did the wrong thing, bam, called out for it, end of it. Because a station, a network doesn't want that bad press on them.
Exactly. So how about this? You got a little time to stick around because I want to get into some St. Louis sports.
Sure.
I know you don't get a chance to watch it too much, but when you get a chance to, you get to actually sit down and watch what's going on. All right.
Sure.
So we're going to take a quick time out. I got Rene Knott here of News Channel 5, KSDK in St. Louis, and we'll be right back with more of the show. So stay tuned, y'all. We're back with this edition of the A Train Show. As you can see, my special guest is with me right now, Rene Knott of News Channel 5, KSDK 5 on your side as he's trying to get his phone and stuff together. I love stuff like this, man.
I'll give full transparency right now. This will give you an idea of what's going on. So this is where I am.
Yeah.
If everybody can see that, right?
Yeah.
I'm out here, and I'm having a stag after work, and it's kind of chilling out here. So I'm like leaning back in my chair, and I go to move, and I pull out my earpiece. Like right when you come back, I'm like, not now, not now. Say commercial break a little while longer.
Next time I will think of that. All right,
it's all right.
One thing before I touch on the St. Louis sports scene, I said before, I want to single out one person because I've had her on my show before. Sydney Stallworth. How is it working with Sydney in this market?
It is like watching a star born, and I mean that in all sincerity. She, first of all, she's a true journalist in the sense that she wants to go out and break some news and make a difference and tell stories that impact people's lives. But you watch her; she's a great, as far as what I want to say. She works hard at what she does, and she wants to do it very well. Excuse me. I don't know how long she'll stay in St. Louis because she's that good. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody at the network at some point goes, we got to have her. She's that type of talent. But she's fun. She's regular. She's sincere. She's authentic. She is who she is when you see her on the air. She's that same person off the air, which says a lot because she's younger than my children. And so I'm always giving her a hard time about calling me by my first name. I go, you wouldn't call your parents' friends by their first name, would you? But no, she's genuine, man. And I marvel at watching her career because she has so much focus, so much desire, but at the same time, she has a purpose and she has rules. She does not break her rules. She is true to her journalism, true to telling the truth, true to finding the real story.
That's what's up. I love that. I love hearing about that. I just wanted to make sure I threw her name out there because I've had her on the show. Like she's been the most genuine person.
Oh, wait. She got on before me?
She did. Sorry.
I don't know who I'm more mad at now. You or no? Just good.
You're a busy man, sir. So hey, but that's something that make sure I wanted to touch base on because you've been working next to her and stuff like that, and I've always wanted to see that that representation on the news. So it's like great to see. All right, let's move over to my favorite, the St. Louis sports scene. Okay, of course we got the beloved Cardinals that people don't love. CDSC that, while still getting great crowds, they did not doing so hot. The Blues didn't do so hot.
It's a tough time in the city.
But you can always love those St. Louis Battlehawks, right?
Yeah. And the thing about the Battlehawks, I wish, and I think the city embraces it. I do see the crowd showing up. I wish it was a higher level of football because I want the nation, everybody to understand what's happening right here when it comes to football. We're talking about a league that's how many rungs below the NFL. Yet at the same time, people are paying the money. They're going downtown to a dome that you got to admit that dome is not the best. And they're watching this team play and they're dressing up for the team and they're cheering on this team. And I hope the league survives and continues on and does very well. But you can't help but look at that and go, what if? What if the Rams were better and they never left? What if, there's so many questions that you got to have out there. And then you got to wonder, with the showing that the NFL is seeing right now with the UFL, would they consider an expansion team for St. Louis? And then the question would be, would St. Louis embrace an expansion team for the NFL? I think we would. Mm-hmm. I think we would. But I also think, too, that it would have to start with building a brand new stadium because the dome come on. When was the dome built? Back in the 90s?
90s, yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking a long time that this place has been outdated. But I think you put something state-of-the-art down there, like the drawings or renderings that they had to try to keep the Rams, it would be hard-pressed for for an NFL team, either one, not to want to relocate here, because you see the fan base, you see also the fact that we're in the middle of America, so it's easy to get to the other cities for your games.
Right.
But you got to see the passion people have just for sports in general. I mean, how long has it been since we saw people not show up for the Cardinals? This season, the last time, maybe back in the 90s, right?
Right.
When they were struggling. Because
Mm-hmm.
we believe in winning. We believe in winning. You look at what's happening with City SC, and, you know, hey, they got a lot of draws. But it still adds up for points. So, you know, you're still in the
Right.
middle of it all.
Right.
The thing I like about watching City SC, and I'm not a big soccer person. I'm still, you know, learning and loving the game. Yeah. But when you go to the games, you go to the matches, you see the people wearing the shirts and the jerseys. It's every color. It's women, it's men, it's boys, it's girls, it's black, it's white, it's Asian, it's Hispanic. You name it. Everybody's a part of it. I don't think any other team in the city has quite embraced the city the way they have culturally. Culturally. Mm-hmm. You go to a Cardinals game, and let's be honest, go to a Cardinals game, you look around, and how many people of color do you see?
Right.
10%?
Very little.
20%?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you go to a City SC game, and the percentage is higher. I'm not going to say it's, you know, 50-50, but the percentage is higher. I think they've got something going right now that if they can stay a winning franchise, and we know we love winners, stay a winning franchise, people stay with you. You know, the first year is one thing. Everybody loves the first year because there's new. Now it's like we got expectations now. You know, they should have had this year, last year, this year.
Growth is what it would have been,
growth,
right?
Growth. Right now, we're like, is this growth or what's going on here? But you got to understand, though, that the rest of the league also has the playbook now on what to expect from City SC. Yes. And so now they kind of know their attacking style and all that. And I really enjoyed Bradley Carnell. I had a chance to do it was last week, a interview with him and Leuven in front of a crowd, a moderator conversation with him. Mm-hmm. And the guy is passionate about not just soccer, but about teaching these guys about life and the life lessons from the game and just the life lessons of day-to-day activities. I'm going, man, this guy is deep, much deeper than you think a coach would be.
Right.
But he is something special. Now, your Cardinals, that's on you. I don't know.
It's on me now?
I can't defend that.
It's on me.
I can't defend this one. First of all, okay, so I remember Mo when Mo first got the job. And I love Mo. And I interviewed Mo before he got the job. We talked about his ambitions and everything else. And, you know, the biggest player he ever signed to that point was Albert Pujols. That was his guy. So I'm like, well, okay, 1 for 1, not bad. But now you got to wonder, are they taking things for granted? Is it just that they're behind the times? Do they need, and I'm not talking about necessarily new blood on the diamond and the dugout, but new management. New management.
That's funny. It's funny you say that because before beloved Mike Shannon had passed away, he had made on a comment on the broadcast about the Cardinals selling or the ownership selling the Cardinals.
Yep.
And, you know, it got looked at weird, like, what was he talking about? Is he just being Mike Shannon or is something, do we know something?
Something up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think he may have knew something before he passed away. So is that the route that this team needs to be sold?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't want to speculate on that. I'm not saying that's the case, but maybe ownership needs to look at it differently to what they do. And don't take it for granted that, we get 3 million people every year, we'll continue to make money. Because it's going to cost you more money to keep a team that's going to be competitive because salaries are going up. So now you got to say, how do I find people in my organization that can find the right people to put on the diamond that can come up through my organization and produce? I mean, Jordan Walker gets set down. I'm going, okay, well, is that Jordan Walker or is he not being taught at this level? Is someone not, bringing up and enhancing his game and just kind of taking his game for granted? At some point, a coach has got to coach. In other words, you got to know how to get at that particular athlete and how to teach that athlete right. You can't just teach everybody the same way. I don't know what's happening there. I haven't been around the team in a capacity of a sportscaster in 7 years now. I just know what I see on TV, and what I see on TV is that it's not what I would call entertaining or many times not watchable baseball. And I mean, hate to say it in that way, but if I was forking over, let's say $100 for my wife and I to go to a game and have a couple of beers, I want a better outcome, or I want to feel like there's going to be a better outcome. Right now, if they win, it's almost like, oh wow, look, that happened. They actually can do it. I mean, but no, in reality, that's kind of how you feel. Like, oh wow, oh, that just happened. There's no consistency anywhere. The most consistent guy at the plate broke his forearm. Most consistent guy on the mound gave up 3 home runs yesterday. So until you get that consistency, it's 100 and whatever amount of games. But if you can't do it enough, you're going to end up right back down in the basin where they are right now. And that is a long climb. We can say what we want about the season being all the way to September, but that's a long climb unless people ahead of you aren't also losing for you to climb up.
Yeah. So
status quo. Yeah.
A question came over, and it's from a fellow journalist, Jeremy Housewright. He wanted to ask you, did you ever get a chance to cover Michael Jordan?
Oh, yeah.
When you were in this thing?
How
was that experience for you?
Okay, so I covered Jordan a couple of different times. One, when he was in the Bulls' heyday. Yeah. And so what we did was we decided that we're going to do the Chicago Bulls on the road. So even though I worked in D.C., we went up to New York, and we followed them when they played the Knicks. From the hotel all the way to the game and everything else, it was like watching Michael Jackson in his prime walk out of a hotel. The flash bulbs and everything else, they get on the bus. People like running after the bus and everything else. You know, you talk about Jordan, Pippen, you got Rodman, and you had the guys. And after the game, I go in and interview him. And the most gracious guy, because everybody wants to talk to Michael Jordan. He stood in the middle of the locker room and answered every question. And when everybody was done, because I got close enough to where I practically did a one-on-one with him, then he walked, he left, because I think he knew his obligation, not just to the media, but his obligation to the fans and to the game in general. Then they beat the Bullets. The one time the Bullets make the playoffs. This is with George Mirasan and Calvert Chaney and Rod Strickland, Juwan Howard, Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, and they lose in 3. But Jordan was very gracious about it, saying that this is the future. So here's my best story about Jordan. You'll love this one.
All right.
So at the time, I knew Jordan's agent, Curtis Polk and David Falk, because they were both in D.C. So Judy Polk, Curtis's wife, goes, "Hey, we're going to the Grand Havana Room, Cigar Club. Do you want to come smoke cigars?" I said, "Yeah, okay." So I get done what I'm doing. I hop in the car, drive, park. I go to the Grand Havana Room in downtown D.C., take the elevator down, open up the doors to what is a big boardroom, and there's this big oak table, right? Yeah. There's Jordan, there's Pippen, there's Charles Oakley, all smoking stogies. And I walk in, I go, "I'm going to smoke stogies with these guys." So we're sitting around the table, just kind of talking. I'm really just taking it all in. And I say to Judy, "Judy, I can't go see my son after this without having something from this night." Now, these are the days before you had cell phones to take selfies and all that. And so she gives me her courtside seat ticket, which is, the big ticket for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Slides it over to him and goes, "You need to sign this for his son." And he signs it to Easton Michael Jordan. I said, "I think Dad just won Father of the Year." This right here. And then when he played for the Wizards that one season, it was electric because, he still had some moments. Now, it wasn't consistent, but he would have moments where he go, "Oh, yeah, that's Michael Jordan." But it's just being around someone like that just lifts you up. And he's just the fact that he would answer every question, even though he's probably been asked that question a million times, said a lot about the man and his obligation to the game. Now, was he a private person? Very much so. But he knew that when I was around the media, I'd give the media their time, and then media leaves me alone. I go do what I got to go do.
Gotcha. Wow. Another question just came over from Kevin Womble Jr. You ever got a chance to meet Albert Pujols or Mark McGwire? I know you probably have.
Pujols all the time because I was with Pujols. When he signed that first contract. So when I came in 2004 and he signed that big contract, that's the first time I was around him. But for some reason, he and I hit it off. And it started at a charity event for his foundation. He needed somebody to do like the auction. And they asked me if I could do it. I said, sure. So I did the auction. And then after that, I did it for like 6-7 years in a row. But he and I had this connection where I could do one-on-ones with him and we would talk and just have regular conversations. Mark McGuire, I wasn't really around him until after everything went down. And, you know, he's kind of a standoff guy. What's interesting about him, though, is that he went to high school in the same conference that I went to high school in California. He went to Don Lugo. And I don't remember him because I didn't play baseball. I played football. But I do remember his brother, who was like 6'10", played quarterback. The one time I did get to be around him, ironic, is that I came here when it was Sosa versus McGuire for the home run crown. We flew in because our news director wanted us to cover this. Came to St. Louis, was there for the weekend. You know, it all happens, and you know, you get to go interview Mark McGuire. But what I learned most of all about that weekend was just the passion that St. Louis baseball fans have for the Cardinals. I mean, people were at Busch Stadium with transistor radios, no tickets, but just outside the stadium because they wanted to be a part of what was taking place. It was beautiful. I wish Mark wasn't a reluctant hero, so to speak, but absorbed and took in what was really happening. I think a lot of what he did was let me just play baseball and then, you know, leave me alone. And it's sorry, you can't play baseball at that level if people want to leave you alone. We want to know everything about you, you know?
Right. Okay. Before you go, if there's an interview that you're looking forward to, I know Jeremy says you have one coming up with Darius Rucker on June 1st.
Yes.
Is that one that you're looking forward to? Is any interview that you always wanted to do? I think.
Well, yeah. Well, see, the crazy thing is being in news now, I'm doing interviews with people that I've never thought of. So 2 months ago, I did an interview with Billy D. Williams in this same series where authors come into town for the St. Louis Public Library. And I'm going, if my mom was alive right now, she would just have a cow. Oh, my God, my son's on stage interviewing Billy D. Williams in front of this crowd. And he was the nicest guy. Darius I'm looking forward to, too, because he's got such a career that has spanned so much music and then a change of genres and everything else. But if there was one person you said, okay, who would you most want to sit down with and have a genuine interview with? It's Tiger Woods.
Really?
It's Tiger Woods.
Why
I just think there's so much there that I would love to tap into, from his upbringing to his focus, to his collapse, to his comeback, to, I think, settling in now where he's almost mentoring other golfers. You know, when you look at him at the Masters, he's playing with the amateur and he's walking along, talking to the guy, like pointing that stuff out to him. I'm going, he never did that. He would want to all the time, but he was there. He was talking to the guy. He was present. And to see that evolution, and then also to see his son mimic him and is just like his image all the time. That's the guy. I've been able to talk to presidents. You know, I had a time with Obama. I had time with Little Bush. I had time with Bill Clinton when I was in D.C. And so I know what that's like. And trust me, that's mind blowing to go, oh, this is a leader of the free world. But there's something about Tiger Woods that to this day I go, I really want to talk to that
guy. All right. Hey, and you have probably one of the best intriguing stories. You know, you got to talk to Michael Jordan, man. Michael Jordan. You know, that's like
I've talked to Muhammad Ali.
Beyond measure.
There's a lot of people on the list.
What I'm saying.
You know?
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's amazing. And yet, you know, you still going on, you're doing everything that you doing with news, and you're getting opportunities at grander scales that people would die to, you know, to do. And
I'm blessed.
You've been grateful.
Blessed.
What is the one thing that you can give to up and coming journalists that want to be in the business, and like what's the biggest piece of advice you can give?
And this is the advice I think you give for anybody doing anything, and that is to believe in yourself. There's going to be people all along the way, everywhere you go, they're going to doubt you. They're going to say bad things about you. That are going to put you down and try to crush your dreams. But if you believe in your heart that you're doing what you're meant to be doing, nobody can stop you. But you got to believe it. you just can't go, well, this is a job. You got to treat it like, in many ways, this is my life and a part of my life. And I've been able to have a pretty good life doing this. My kids are both college graduates. I've been married to my wife for 37 years. We've lived, all across this country and well, basically in 4 different places. But I look at it and go, how did I make it this far? Because I've always kind of believed, and I've always believed in working. My dad set that forth with me during this time at UPS when I was coming up, that you go to work and you work hard. And if they say you got to work late, you work late. They say you got to work extra, you work extra. You don't question it. You just do it. And, I feel blessed.
That's amazing, man. Hey, I wish I want to keep you longer, but I know you got things you got to do, and I know
I got to order my hamburger, man.
That's right.
I got to get my cheeseburger.
Hey, and make sure you take that picture because we love seeing that picture of that cheeseburger, man. Hey, I'm gonna have to sit down. We're gonna have to break bread together and stuff like that,
Sure.
And because I'm getting captivated by the stories that you tell. And, you always have been a genuine individual, whether it's been here, whether it's been on social media. And, I appreciate that greatly from you. And, not a lot of people can do that. And, that's why I'm grateful and gotten to know you for at least the last 8 years, I believe. So, so I appreciate that so much. And you've been a supporter of mine, which is even more mind boggling to me the more I think about it. So I greatly appreciate that from you.
Thank you, man. I thank you for having me. Even though I had to come after Sydney Stallworth, I'll take it.
don't hurt her. Please don't hurt her.
No, hey, she's aces. I love that girl. But thank you very much for this opportunity, man. And the best of luck to you with this. I hope it grows and becomes tremendous. Michelle Smallman was my intern at one time, and I used to do a little radio show here in town, and I would have her on as like our social media person. And I look at her now, here she is on ESPN. She does, this 4-hour show in the morning. And I thought, man, I remember when she just hosted an event for the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, I think it was. I'm going, all dreams are possible. Like I said, when you believe in yourself and you take full advantage of your opportunities. So I'm looking for you to grow, man. I'm looking for you to grow.
That. Appreciate that. I still got a long way to go, man. But
you'll get there.
Appreciate. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Rene Knott here with Channel 5 on your side. Make sure you see him every morning at what time?
Oh gosh, 4:30 to 7 a.m.
2.5 hours. 2.5 hours with him. All right. And where can they find you on social media?
Oh gosh. What am I? I don't even know but I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook. But what the handles are, I couldn't tell you. But I think if you search my name, it comes up. That's all.
Just Google it.
I got to get my kids still.
I think one of the comments from Jeremy says, a fellow journalist, I always tell folks Rene is one of the best storytellers in the business.
Thank you.
So I wanted to make sure I got that out there.
I appreciate it
for you. All right. So we're going to take a time out, and then we'll come back. It's going to be me flying solo. And Rene, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Program, and
no problem.
Blessing us with your presence and giving us great stories on what's been going on in your world.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Rene Knott. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, we'll be right back after this timeout. You are watching the A Train Show right here on Fuel Sports Network.
Houston, we've triumphed. I've made it back to Earth with the cargo intact. The game-changing, time-sensitive payload is none other than the revolutionary energy flavor we've all been waiting for. Introducing Merc Mayhem Cherry Limeade. Merc Clan played a crucial role in securing this energy flavor, and together we've unlocked the future of power. Merc Mayhem is not just a drink, it's a statement, a fusion of relentless energy and bold flavor. The secret is out. Merc Mayhem is set to redefine the energy landscape, leaving ordinary drinks in its cosmic dust. Get ready for a taste explosion that matches Merc Clan's unparalleled power. Join the revolution, and let's unleash Merc Mayhem upon the world. Astronaut M signing off.
Same great taste. Yes, same great taste.
back on this edition of the A Train Show, the A Train Arlington Lane. Big thanks to Rene Knott over at Channel 5, KSDK in St. Louis. And, I marvel at the fact that I was able to maintain my composure, man, because, Rene's a good dude. And that's one thing that, I try to look for when I get guests for the show, having a good conversation with them and, being able to let them be themselves. And he's very down to earth. And as you can see, he talked a bit about some of the career highlights, and then of course talking the St. Louis sports scene. That's just cool for me, and I appreciate that so much. I talked a little bit about the NBA playoffs. I'm gonna touch a little bit about that now. And I'm gonna try and talk some baseball before we get out for this Friday edition of the show. I think what's gonna wind up happening is I'm just gonna do some one-offs because we got something cooking for the next week or so. I think it's about time that a morning show is gonna have to kick off here at the network, and I'm looking forward to that journey. Ooh, it's gonna be something. 5 days a week. Woo! It's gonna be premature, but I'm just letting you know right now. We got some special stuff that's about to pop off at the network. You just got to stay tuned. Hey, folks, make sure that you continue. You go and get the app on your Roku televisions or your Roku devices or your Amazon Fire Stick devices, or you can always go to gatewaycitysports.com if you're feeling like you don't want to go and do that. But hey, we're around, we're here, and we're making sure that you check out what we have to offer our great content around the network. Coming up, I think this morning we had the Hellraisers show with Gabe Garcia. Gabe, hey, if you get a chance, call me, brother. So that way, if you got the number from my producer, Kevin, just make sure you give me a call back, man, so that way we can wrap. Because I know we've been trying to do that, but somehow your calls have not been coming through for some weird reason. So make sure that you just give me a buzz, man. Yes, the growth of Fuel Sports Network is real. It's very real. And, I'm shocked. Like, seriously, I just cannot, I can't fathom, how much that, work that's been put in to make this happen. So, as always, I got to thank my guy, Jason Spurgeon. Thanks to Amanda and Ed Ployer for their hard work, Kevin Womble, Michael Lathrop, Philip, Leo, Jeremy, Gene, Derek, and I thank you all. I thank you all for believing in this and that you're here and we about to do the damn thing. And everybody that is on board, Girl Chat Sports, of course, Cullen Watkins with Rough 'em Up Podcast, which you can catch today at 3:00 on the Central Time Zone, 4 in the East, and 1 on the West. We're trying to make waves wherever we can find them. Okay, so just know we are on the prowl, and we about to make some stuff shake. Yeah, the W. Let me talk a little bit about the W. I was going to talk about the playoffs. I changed my mind because I can do that on my show. Seeing the story that Toronto, they're getting an expansion team. San Francisco is getting an expansion team. Bay Area is what they want to call it. But they're going to play in Frisco. So that's how I look at it. So this is wonderful. If there was, I think I said it on a past show. I think I said it on Monday. The Houston Comets need to make a return to the WNBA. That is legacy. That is how the WNBA jumped off. Okay. So I think that's the talent pool now is bigger than it was before. And now the WNBA has to step their game up, because now those salaries are going to need to be changed. Those are going to have to be increased, because now there's an increase in viewership. There is an increase in audiences. So now they want to go out and see more of it. Okay. And I'm very optimistic about it. I'm just going to touch a little bit on it, but there's a narrative going around with Caitlin Clark. And with that, some of it looks positive and some of it does not. And I hope they're able to sift through the negative more than a positive. You got it. You of course you got to bank on it. You got to get it now, because she is a one of a kind athlete. But so is Angel Reese. So is Cardioso. So is Cameron Brink. Okay. You got Asia Wilson. All right. You got Diana Taurasi. Right. Just had Candace Parker retire. So happy retirement to Candace Parker, who is now the president of women's basketball over at Adidas. Yes, nothing but thank you. Thank you. Yeah, there's big things ahead. But seeing here, Kevin says them and the Miami Soul said Omaha would be a great city for an expansion team. Nebraska fans are very supportive of it. You know what? You know what? You know what? Can St. Louis get on this get on this train, man? I hope I don't get in trouble saying this, but the St. Louis Surge have been one of the teams that were building an audience here in St. Louis. I think they're going to continue on no matter what. So Kalia Collier has done an amazing job with this team, and she's been pushing, and hopefully this will give a greater chance for them excuse me, to get bigger audiences and kind of pull in what's being seen so far. If you don't get a chance this summer, and I'm gonna see if I can get her on the program, but I know she's busy right now because her team, the Dallas Mavericks, is in the NBA playoffs. So it's going to be a little bit tough to get her on. But I want to definitely hear what she has plans for this upcoming Surge season. But yeah, women's basketball is consistently growing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that landscape can look like in the future. Hopefully they keep ladies from having to go overseas to go play ball, and then they can play a season here in the States, and they can live off of that. They don't have to go get extra income. So hopefully that, that change as it progresses down the road. Yeah, I want to touch, I'm gonna go back to this NBA playoffs. I know I said I was going to not touch on it, but now it kind of came back up, and I got about a few minutes. One thing is for sure with the playoffs is the Cavaliers and Celtics. I didn't think the Cavs was going to spank the Celtics the way that they did last night, but here we are. That series is tied at 1 apiece. The same with the Mavericks knocking off the Thunder. They didn't beat them as bad, but they got the dub. So those series are tied at 1. Right now, the Knicks, goodness gracious, like this is, you'd have never looked at this team and said conference finals for them. Semifinals, yes. Second round, yes. Conference finals, no. They have a real great chance of making that happen soon. But the Knicks are traveling right now. No, they're not traveling, but I think they're in Indiana, and they play tonight at 7 o'clock on the East. And then, of course, you have Minnesota and Denver from Minnesota. I got a chance to talk to some Minnesota fans, and they sitting there, they're marveling at what's going on in Minneapolis. Some have said they've seen the growth, and the others like, I just can't believe that they're in the situation that they're in right now. And that's why I'm like, I can't believe it. They've gotten a whole lot better, and this could be a team, excuse me, that could really make some noise. And I really think Anthony Edwards has surpassed Ja Morant as the new face of the league. If I'm saying that too prematurely, okay, cool. But just judging from what I'm seeing these last 3 years with him, Ant-Man got it. Ant-Man want it. And when you want it, more than likely you're going to get it. You do it any and all things necessary to get what you want. Good Lord. And I like to see this youthful movement. This youthful movement in the league now, not having a LeBron James, not having a Steph Curry, not having a Kevin Durant in this realm. It's actually good for the league. It's good for it because they're going to be going out the door soon. Don't know how soon, but they will be going out the door. You won't see the likes of LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant. So you're going to need somebody, a new face, to come into the picture. One thing that I'm upset with was the fact that Nikola Jokic won MVP. I'm mad with that, and I'm mad that Rudy Gobert won Defensive Player of the Year. No, not at all. I never felt that. I think Victor Wembanyama, what he was able to do, I could care less that he's 7'5", but what he was able to pull off, he led the league in blocks. He had more steals than Rudy Gobert, and you shut him out. That's why I really don't like fans, or not fans, but writers voting for MVP. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. But and SGA for Oklahoma City is the #1 team, scored. I think he led the league or second in the league in scoring, and he got shut out. Miss me with that. I'm not cool with that whatsoever. All right. That'll wrap things up for this edition. Everyone that's tuned in, make sure that you go and check out Fuel Sports Network, Fuel_SN on Twitter. You can also check us out on Gateway City Sports, and you can check us out. Where are we? Because we're everywhere on Roku TVs, on your Roku TV, and also on your Amazon Fire Stick. All right. So this is the A Train signing off. We'll catch you again for another edition of the A Train Show. We'll see you next time.